Oh, pretty good, thanks.
Everything okay?
Is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just checking up on my public servants to make sure everything's good. I thought the three of you guys were cops, but I guess you're checking this guy out?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just recording, just exercising my First Amendment right.
Yes, you have every right to do so, okay?
Okay.
So
I won't get any closer.
Yes,
I won't
sir,
say
yes, sir.
anything.
I just wanted to make sure everything was okay.
I appreciate you. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Okay. I said the magic words, First Amendment rights. I really thought all three of these guys were cops because that other guy is really buff and he's got like the military haircut. If they were cops, I was going to leave them alone. I was going to say, oh, you guys are all cops, I'm just going to leave you alone. Like, I don't need to stand there and mess with cops while they're standing there planning how they're going to take over the world. But when I saw that, no, they really are pulling this guy over, I'm just going to watch. Looks like they're trying to work on getting a search, or they already did one. I've never thought of what I might do if bullets go flying. I've never considered that. It's something I probably should consider though. Because they're letting him go to the vehicle. He keeps wanting to. And the cop keeps saying, no, don't go to the vehicle, because we all know what happens when that happens. Although unlike idiotic cops who love to stand in front of vehicles, I would jump out of the way so I don't get hit or shot. Cops love, they love to stand in front of a vehicle driven by a crazed felon and then fear for their life. Here we go, there goes the handcuffs. And that's why you never talk to the police, you guys. Never talk to the cops. Because that's what happens right there. That's what talking to the cops will get you. It's, am I detained? Am I under arrest? Am I free to go? Or can I please have my lawyer if I am detained? And that's all you say. Anything else than that? Anything other than that? You're going to be in handcuffs like this guy. I wonder why they went from talking to him to handcuffing him though. Interesting time to stop. Capture this on film. You know what's crazy though? I don't know if anybody's gonna believe me, but oh God, that mosquito, look at that. That sucker got me, man. That's my blood. Ugh. Man, that thing is sucking me hard. Anyway, I should edit that out. It's not a good soundbite. No, I was gonna say that literally just last night I had a dream that I went to the Texas Motor Vehicle Department, and God, these mosquitoes are brutal. And then I went in there after they had closed and was snooping around in the refrigerator. This is such a crazy dream. In the refrigerator, because I had been there earlier in the day and wanted to see if I'd left some food or something like that. It was weird. You know how dreams are. They're very sporadic. Anyway, while I'm in there, of course, DPS shows up and they're like, hey, you're not supposed to be in here, man. We're closed. And so I start talking to the guy. I'm like, look, man, it's a public building. It's paid for by my tax dollars. Yes, I came in after it was closed, but I'm still not breaking a law technically because this is my building and I didn't enter any unauthorized areas. I'm still in all the public accessible areas. So I don't think that the city attorney or state's attorney will prosecute. But anyway, that was what I was saying in my dream. It doesn't mean it's true in real life. I'm just saying that was my logic in my dream. And then here the very next day I get here and there's state troopers and one of them comes up and talks to me, just like in the dream. Weird, man, weird. What are the odds of that? But yeah, that's what happens when you talk to the police. You get put in torture cuffs. Now, unbeknownst to these guys, and they're going to hate themselves after they leave, I parked right around the corner on private property. And so if they really wanted to get my information, all they have to do is go and run my license plates. But yeah, as far as they know, I just walked up from nowhere. I basically pulled one of their tricks and hid behind a building, hid my car behind a building like they do when they're running speed enforcement. So, yeah. But I don't blame them. I happen to know from my training, and I'm not saying that this is I'm not saying that this is something that I agree with, but I just know from my training that if you're a small female and you encounter someone like this guy here who looks like he spends every day off at the gym, you're allowed to use a higher level of force, which handcuffs are. Handcuffs are considered a use of force. Make no mistake about it. But you're allowed to use a slightly higher level of force because you're trying to overcome the fact that this person is physically larger than you. And if they were to try and fight you, you probably would not win that fight. So in this case, there's two of them. They look like they can handle themselves. But still, I'm assuming that they put him in handcuffs to detain him temporarily while they figure out. I'm honestly just trying to help this guy out. And I don't know what his history is. It really doesn't matter. I'm an extremely firm, religiously so believer in innocent until proven guilty. It doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter if they catch you red-handed. You have a right to a trial in which the state presents their evidence, you present your evidence, and you're considered innocent until they prove you guilty in a court of law, period. So I really don't care what this guy did. I'm not one of those people that cheers on violating someone's rights just because they're a shitbag. You know, there's no threshold. There's no threshold. You can make an argument. You can take it all the way to like the most outrageous argument of, look, what if the guy just murdered your whole family? What if this guy here just shot and killed your mom? You know, raped your mom, raped your sister, killed your family? Would you still feel the same way? Hey, don't put the handcuffs on too tight. Don't violate his rights. Emotionally, no, I would not care about his rights. But I would be the biggest hypocrite on planet Earth if I decided just because he did me wrong that his rights should be violated. That's just the wrong way to look at it. So I understand that example if someone wants to use it, but it still doesn't mean that, you know, because there's no threshold, there's no limit to it. Constitution says that we are innocent until proven. Oh, it has permission to go into his pocket. That means he's not under arrest. Either that or they asked him where his ID was, and he told them. But if you're under arrest, they don't ask you permission for anything. It's called an SIR, a search incident to the arrest, in which case they don't need your permission for squat. I've seen tons of videos, including from auditors who are supposed to know better, where after they get arrested, they start complaining that they don't consent to any searches or seizures. Well, too bad, Jack. You're under arrest. You have zero rights to keep them from searching you. It's a search incident to arrest. They have to search you for any contraband that you may have so you don't bring it into the jail. And they have to search you for any weapons you may have so you don't bring them into their vehicle. And their life is not put at risk by something you may have on you. So if that had been a search incident to arrest, they would not have asked us permission to go in his pocket. That's what tells me he may just be detained still at this point. And my presence here can either do one of three things. Absolutely nothing, and they just do what they were going to do anyway. Or it could influence them to not violate his rights and make sure that they cross their T's and dot their I's, knowing that their bosses are probably going to see this at some point. Or it may have the effect of them deciding, you know what, why would you just let this guy go? Let this guy go. Because they really don't seem like they know exactly what they want to do. And I think that's because of the presence of the camera. And I understand it. Everybody's job. Nobody wants to have someone. I would not want someone with a camera standing over my shoulder recording me while I'm at home working on my laptop doing my job. I would not want someone standing there with the camera. That would be extremely awkward, extremely uncomfortable. And I would be very nervous about everything I was doing because I would know that realistically my boss is going to be able to see what I'm doing. And so, man, I want to go over and talk to that guy so badly, but damn, I can't, because I know that these guys will charge me with interfering in a heartbeat, whether or not it really is interfering, because interfering is supposedly a physical act. It's not just talking. But man, if that guy had called me over or something, or was close enough that I could say something to him, he's not. It may look so in the video, but he's not close enough. And the freeway traffic is very loud. But I would have said, bro, do not consent to any searches, man. Don't consent to any searches, or give him a cigarette. That's weird. I never let someone smoke while I'm actively investigating them. That just doesn't... I guess the cops are doing it so they can look like they're cool and compassionate. But maybe this guy is a cop. Maybe I was right in the first place. Maybe they caught him doing something wrong and they're trying to do an incognito arrest. So don't consent to any searches or seizures if you're not under arrest. I just wrote a country song. Oh, no one's told me to take my hands out of my pocket yet. And they didn't run up and grab my camera and put me in handcuffs like David Laird, the tyrant of South Padre Island. The bully. May be able to get the body cam footage, but the way I understand it, you have to know the last name of one of the people involved. So I'd have to know who this guy is. They might have just stopped him for no front license plate. But who knows? I know this is kind of turning into a long video, but I still feel like something's going to happen here. Oh, he's got a flat tire. Oh, this is one of those classic police stop to help you, and it turned into you being arrested, just like the two cops that got shot in that video because they stopped to help those two people who were disabled on the side of the road. And James Freeman did a great video where he said, look man, if you're stranded on the side of the road and the cops pull up to help you, tell them no thanks, kick rocks, carry on as you were, please leave me alone, I don't need your help, I don't want your help. Because if you start chit-chatting with them, this is what's going to happen. Now, for all I know, and this is what I suspect, but I have zero evidence to back it up whatsoever, for all I know, this is a hit-and-run driver. This guy might have just hit something because his vehicle is pretty jammed up. And if you'll notice on that dent in the front, even as early as a day later, you'll start seeing rust. You'll start seeing rust form on those edges where the dent is dented in when it's old damage. But the fact that looks so fresh and clean and new, that might have just happened, and this could have been their suspect in a hit and run. I don't know, just speculation, unfounded speculation. So who knows? But now they're going in the vehicle again. And the whole thing about putting him in the handcuffs could have also been a ploy to make it appear more reasonable that they're going into his vehicle. Because think about it. If they know I'm standing here and they already know that I mentioned, and of course, guys, again, look, I don't think I'm more important than I am. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not one of those auditors that says, you guys know, don't you know who I am? You don't know who I am. You have no idea who I am. Even one of my heroes, Amagansett Press, says that a lot. You have no idea who I am. I'll eat you for lunch. Or you guys know who I am. You guys all know who I am. Just talk to your sergeant. You will never hear me say that in any video. So please don't think this is me thinking that I'm more important than I am, because I'm not important. But these are all we're just talking here, right? We're just talking. In the event that they know that I'm here exercising my First Amendment right, and that I know at least a few things about the Constitution, they could be thinking, okay, we want to search this guy's car, but if we just ask him for permission, that constitutionalist guy, he may get involved or he may report us. See, now the cop has looked over at me like 6 times while he's searching that car. I don't like that. Remember, guys, they love to plant evidence, okay? That's one of their favorite things to do. Keep a little baggie on them that they can just drop in the car and there's their probable cause. But it's hard to do when there's a camera on you. Anyway, all that to say that looks like he found the roaches, if there were any. What was I ranting about? Oh yeah, in the event that that's the case and they don't want me telling the guy not to let them search his car, put him in handcuffs. That gives the impression he's under arrest. and then now the person has no complaint, because we're allowed to search a car when a person's under arrest, like I was talking about earlier. Don't think that cops don't make these type of decisions when they're whispering to each other in their little huddles that they do, you know, when they have you pulled over. So they watch auditing videos, they know what happens, and they think of they strategize on how to get through a situation like that. For example, I started noticing on a lot of videos where they'll thank the auditor for providing them the information that he did, even though they've never met him before. That's specifically designed to make that person a target to street level criminals who believe that he is a rat for the cops. And they'll just look at the camera and say, hey man, appreciate that information you gave me last week. Appreciate that tip you gave us last week, man. We really appreciated that. We got that guy and we locked him up. And then the auditor doesn't usually know what's going on. He's like, what are you talking about, man? I don't know what you're talking about. And it just makes him seem even more guilty because he's denying it. Versus just saying, yeah, whatever, man. You know you don't know me. You know, even that's still you denying it. But my point is simply that that's a tactic that they use to make it seem like the auditor is a rat, and they're hoping that the auditor gets killed, really. Because that's what can happen to you if you're a rat in the street where people are committing crimes and they think you're the one who turned them in. Man, this is turning into quite the long vehicle search, man. And like I said, this guy is just detained. Otherwise, they would not be getting his permission to look through all this stuff. And again, I wish I wouldn't have promised that guy that I wasn't going to go over there, because I love to tell him, dude, don't agree to any searches, man. Why would you do that? Another tactic they can use is tell them what they have so far. Look, man, we got you obstructing a roadway, even though he's not. We got you obstructing a roadway. Your vehicle's disabled. It's going to need to be towed. It costs $375 to get it towed. Storage fees are $75 a day. You know, you probably won't be able to get your car out for another 2 or 3 weeks. And then either that, or you can let us search your car. You know what I mean? Think about that. Now you're on the side of the road. You can't go anywhere because your car is disabled. He's got 2 flat tires. Looks like he's just been in an accident. And they're telling him, your vehicle's disabled. You know, we're not gonna leave this scene until we get this car towed. Or you can let us search and then you be on your way. You know, what would you do in that situation? I know what I would do. I'd tell them to kick rocks. Believe it or not, you guys, I'm actually not a butthead when I get pulled over. Coming back from my dad's funeral, I had rented a car from Corpus Christi, which is 2 hours from here, and driven the rest of the way all the way up to Dallas, which is like another 7 hours. And on my way back, I drove the 7 hours back to Corpus, picked up my car, and then started driving at the short 2 hours distance down here where I live. Well, in that little brief amount of time, I had a bike on my car, a bike on my bike rack. I get pulled over by some podunk. It was Kennedy County Sheriff's Department. And the guy claimed that my license plate was obscured by the bike. It wasn't. You could see my license plate perfectly fine. It was not obscured. It just was their reason to pull me over. So he asked me a bunch of questions. They asked me to get out. I didn't put up a fuss. I don't think that's the time to argue, is on the side of the road when it's dark and they can claim that you were reaching for something. Just not smart. It was like 2 a.m. Oh, they did call the tow truck. So I got out, and of course I had unbuckled my belt, so that looked weird and creepy. I'm getting out and I'm like zipping up my pants, putting my belt on, you know. But hey, you want to be comfortable when you're driving 8, 9, 10 hours. I don't want my belt super tight and restrictive around my fat belly. So I unbuckled my belt. So there I am buckling my belt, and I was thinking the whole time, man, they could easily say that I was reaching for something. So luckily they didn't do that. Apparently these guys, unlike so many cops, did not wake up that morning just looking for an opportunity to shoot and kill someone. The other thing I appreciate them doing is, the guy asked me, you have any weapons in the car? And I said, oh, no. And then I realized I do have my weapon in my car. I said, oh, you know what? Actually, I do have my weapon in my car. I've got a pistol in there. I said, but it's locked up in a locked gun box. And I said, I think that's called constructive possession. And he just kind of half smirked at me. Well, they wrote me a ticket for they wrote me a plate for, how was it? Basically the same ticket that you get for fictitious inspection sticker. Fictitious registration. My registration had expired. That was the reason why I rented the car to drive up to Dallas, because my car, the registration was expired. So they wrote me a ticket for expired registration. I was almost about to be let go with either a warning or maybe a ticket for the license plate thing. I think it was just going to give me a warning. That was just his reason to stop, to see if he could fish for anything else. And then the older cop his backup is just like desperately looking. He's got his flashlight on and he's shining it on the side of my car, the back of my car, looking for something. And sure enough, boom, his flashlight hits the registration. And like for a second, I actually had the dumbest thought on earth. I thought I had the thought processes of a typical criminal, which was maybe he won't notice. Oh, don't let him notice. Don't let him notice. Like these guys that hide under a bed and the cops are looking for them and they just stay there frozen, like they're thinking the cop actually doesn't see them, like they're invisible. I was hoping that my sticker was invisible, and he's like, oh, he's got an expired registration. I'm like, damn, he saw it. And then I thought later, like, that was so stupid. Of course he's gonna see it, moron. It's got last year's date on it. Uh-oh. Someone's arriving at the place that I parked at. Now these guys are gonna get a call saying, oh, there's someone parked on our private property. Oh, no, they're going to that ranch. Good, they're going somewhere else. I'm parked right over here at this this company right here behind one of the buildings. But anyway, yeah, so they got me for that. And then it was weird because they told me that if I was to get my registration done and bring it to the court, that they would dismiss the ticket. And I said, well, look, I'm not going to be able to get my registration done because my vehicle won't pass inspection right now because, and I can't remember what the reason was. I had some issue with my car that wouldn't let it pass inspection. You have to get the inspection first before you can get the registration. That's how they get you. So I told them, look, my vehicle won't pass inspection right now, so I can't get the registration yet. That I don't even have the money to get it. It's like 150 bucks. I didn't have it. That trip up north cost me all my money and then some, even though I drove. Well, because I rented a car. But wow, I feel like I'm rambling like a crackhead right now. Anyway, they said, well, what about your brother's vehicle that you said you've driven before? If you take a picture of his registration and send it to us, we'll dismiss the ticket. So you send them $20. This sounds so shady, so what's that word that people use? So suspect. Send them $20 and a copy and a photocopy of my brother's registration on his vehicle, and they'll dismiss my ticket. And I was like, okay, that's not even my vehicle. It's registered to someone else. And I did that, and they dismissed the ticket. So I don't know, figure that one out. How many people, I mean, think about that. How many people have they done that to? $20 per person. So in other words, no wonder they're looking for vehicles with expired registration, because that's, if it's not the actual ticket for the expired registration, it's at least $20. So, well, I've already been here for 22 minutes. I don't think I'm gonna be able to talk to that guy. That's the other thing too, having him in handcuffs. I didn't even think about this, you guys. I did not even think about this. Having him in handcuffs also prevents me from going over there to talk to him because he's quote unquote in custody. See how smart that is? That keeps me from going over there and chit-chatting with him about what, you know, telling him not to let them search him and everything else. So, oh man, the games that people play. So, anyway, it's too late, buddy. I already got you recorded. It's too late. I'm sorry for your privacy. I'm probably going to just end it here. I don't know what happened here, but there's really not much more I can do. I'm kind of just stuck here. I'm definitely not going to get close to the car while they're searching. That's a big no-no. I know some auditors that would do that. No thanks. I'm not asking for trouble. It just has a way of finding me. And it's already kind of late for this guy too. He already let the cop inside of his car, fiddling around with stuff, pulling stuff out, putting stuff in baggies. So it's kind of too late for me to really make any big difference in this stop. I could wait it out and talk to the guy afterwards, but I think I'm going to just call it quits here. I documented something. Hopefully it's enough to keep the cops from hemming him up too badly, but they're both staring at me now, both the guy that's in handcuffs and the cop, just wondering what I'm doing because I moved my position just a little bit. And I get it, man. Crazy stuff happens. I totally get it. I don't actually blame cops, even though it's usually exaggerated and it's kind of contrived. I understand it. It's not until you're standing there and you yourself are open container. It's not until you yourself are standing there in the uniform on the side of the road, thinking about all the videos you've seen about bad guys shooting and killing cops, and then like the one video where the guy's got a kid pulled over and that guy drives up in his car and jumps out with a hatchet and runs at the cop with a hatchet. It doesn't happen every day. It doesn't happen all the time. And there's not like it's not hunting season on cops like they make you think. They want you to think that, you know, it's just, oh, cops are just getting massacred every single day, 5, 10, 15 at a time. Bull crap. It's still one of the safest jobs currently. But stuff does happen. So I get it. So it's enough for them to articulate, you know, taking whatever action that they want to take. Not whatever action, but, you know, taking whatever action they end up taking. It's one more little peg for them to articulate. And we already know that the courts carry the water for the cops. The cops can do no wrong. Cops are above the law, and they are above, one step above God. You have police, then God, then family, then self. That's the hierarchy in Texas. And you'll hear me say this on another video that I made. I haven't published it yet. But yeah, that's the way that they do things here in Texas, man. Police are everything. They are everything. If the police told you to sacrifice your firstborn, throw them into a fire pit, because that's the way you show your support for police, God is my witness. I promise you there'd be thousands of people lining up to sacrifice their firstborn child, because that's just how much they worship the police and think they can do no wrong and want to make sure that they're backing the blue. So they're having their huddle now. But how many charges are going to get on this guy? This kind of turned into a mega rant. I might put that in the title. Vehicle stop, search, and mega rant by iJack. These state troopers have been out here for a while. It's been a couple weeks now. I've been seeing them pulling people over like crazy, just vehicle after vehicle after vehicle. So there's some kind of operation going on. The last time I saw it, it was for Mother's Day, and I'm like, that's a weird holiday to have such a huge enforcement action going on. So anyway, but yeah, this might be a hit and run driver. That's why he's got both flat tires, and he pulled over here, and they finally caught up to him. I don't know. I could be wrong. It could just be someone whose vehicle was disabled, but this vehicle does not look like it's been like this for a long time. Again, how can you really tell, right? You can't, but I'm just saying, it just looks fresh, only on account of the fact that it's got the 2 flat tires. If it wasn't for the 2 flat tires and the damage to the front, I'd say, maybe this is old. And now we get the vehicle, now we get the search incident to arrest. Because he probably had tequila or something in the container. So now we're gonna do the full search of the vehicle. This is the search and inventory. This is where the good stuff happens right here. This is the good stuff. Yeah, so that's what it was. So they were fishing, and the guy foolishly probably allowed them to search his vehicle until they finally found something. Notice how they both smelled it. So now they can both go to court and lie through their teeth and say it smelled like tequila. And once they have open container, well, they can arrest him. And now this guy's doing the search incident to arrest. And this is why I told you I noticed the confidence with which he's searching his vehicle. He knows he's got the law on his side. He's got the full backing of the law on his side as he searches his vehicle. Earlier, when they were going into his pockets trepidly, like they were getting permission from him and all that, that's because he was only detained. But he's not detained anymore. He's under arrest. And so now that's why the guy put on his black gloves and he's doing the white glove search, you know. He's got to search this car from front to back, top to bottom, until he finds or plants something, whichever comes first. And you know what? I don't really think that cops plant evidence all the time. I know I said that they love to plant evidence, and it's true. The ones that do. But it does happen, and it can happen, and that's why transparency. And that's why when bootlickers get mad at you for recording the cops, you know, I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like, what if it was you? What if you were the one whose vehicle was being searched, and they suddenly come up with a baggie of cocaine, and you've never touched cocaine in your life? How would you feel? Would you be saying, oh, leave them alone, they're just doing their job? People who say that don't stop for 1 minute to think that maybe the cops are not the good guys and we're the bad guys. Maybe that's not the way it's set up. Maybe some cops are the bad guys. Get it? They just don't think that way. They think, oh, they're the good guys, so leave the good guys alone. Don't bother the good guys. We're the bad guys. We're the dirty, we're the great unwashed. We're the dirty, smelly, pesky citizens. And these are the arbiters of truth and justice in the American way. I mean, God, how can people think that way in this day and age? Even modern movies, man. Even modern movies. So many modern movies. Who does the bad guy end up being? It's always the police detective who's investigating the murders. It's always the chaplain of the church. It's always the person that you're supposed to least expect. Now I come to expect it. Whenever it's a movie like a whodunit murder mystery, I'm always expecting the person who's in charge of the investigation. Even the movies tell us that. And still people don't get the point. Still people want to believe that government is good. Oh, my screen went blank.